Alright guys, so the last section of lore books we'll be going over is the people section. Pages from journals, diaries, letters, and descriptions of the people you meet along your journey. We'll start off with a servant's journal.
My little Hakan has become so cruel, so paranoid in the last few weeks. I hear that he has ordered all of his staff to leave the city, or he will have them thrown from the walls. He cannot possibly mean me. I have cared for him since he was an infant.
Yeah, I found this at his body where he was clearly thrown off the wall. Adria's journal.
Aiden came to me last night. I suspected what was lurking within his troubled heart. I consoled him as best I could. Regardless, wherever he's headed, hell will surely follow in his wake. The shadows close in on Tristram once again, but like Aiden, I'll be gone before they fall.
The Dark Wanderer.
The first time I saw a witch, she burned. Father took me to the town square to see it. Look, he said, that is the face of evil. But she looked like any other woman, and burned like anything else. Then the flames engulfed her. Her eyes found mine, and she laughed.
She knew what she was.
My father could never understand. He was born into privilege and wealth, and he spent every moment of his life trying to protect it. I was his flesh and blood, but he cared more about the names in books and the faces of the paintings on the walls than his living daughter.
Daddy issues.
Do you know what fear is? The fear of who you are. The fear of what your own blood would do if they knew what you were. No, you could never understand it. People look to you as a savior. Have you ever thought about the lives you've taken? They were fathers, lovers, daughters.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's implying that she and her dad had a very inappropriate relationship. Probably not of Adria's own choice. I'm guessing.
He asked me what I see when I look into the fire. I see a burning man. I see a burning witch. I see terror and a hunger that will consume everything. What hope do the works of men have against such all-consuming hunger? I gave myself to the flames. My father burned. He screamed as the flames consumed him, and the smell was sickly sweet. He had found me. For once in his life he had noticed me, and when he saw that the flames did not touch me, he breathed one word. It was his last.
Witch is the word I'm guessing he breathed.
Witch, they called me, but I turned it against them. When their daughter had a child that needed to disappear, when there was a sickness that none of the healers could cure, who was it they pleaded with? When they needed me, the morality they flaunted in the daylight disappeared, as it always does. The first time I heard him, his voice pierced my skull. It reminded me of the cold and haughty sound of my father. But it was more. A crush of thousands of voices. When I heard him, I saw the flame, and I knew fear.
More like terror.
It was a man who came to my bed that night, but when I looked into his eyes, I saw the other, though even he did not know at the time. I did not hear the man's voice, no. I heard the other, the one that has been with me for all these years. I gave myself to him.
Woo! Which of course led to Leah.
Leah was never my daughter. She was Diablo's daughter, in truth. I felt blessed to have given the product of my body to my master. He had no interest in me, but in the product of my womb he found life again. I never flinched when I knew her purpose. Daughters are a cheap thing.
Which, I kind of talked about this a bit during the credits. Of course he was interested that he found life again because after his soul stone was destroyed, I mean, how else was he gonna come back? Really. Alright. Andariel, the Maiden of Anguish.
Andariel was the only female evil. She aided the lesser evils for many years, but eventually she lost faith in their plots. 2 decades ago, she chose to help Diablo during his resurgence and seize the citadel of the Sightless Eye. Ultimately, she perished at the hands of brave heroes.
So I guess that means either in I'm guessing in Diablo 2, there was a point where your characters would actually have fought Andariel. See, I didn't know that because I unfortunately have not played Diablo 2. I have Diablo 2, but I guess perhaps we would have gotten more lore about Andariel in Diablo 2, I'm guessing. Because I really feel like she's one of those I'm not familiar with in terms of a character. Archangel Auriel, the aspect of hope.
It is through the Archangel Auriel that the power of hope flows into the fabric of creation. Her eternal light illuminates even the darkest souls. With Malthael's departure, it falls to Auriel to hold the Angiras Council together. Should her light ever fade, all heaven would fall to despair.
Probably because of this next guy. Archangel Imperius, the aspect of valor. Ooh, valor.
Imperius, the Archangel of Valor, is the greatest warrior in all of creation. He revels in war and combat, and has led the hosts of heaven to innumerable victories. With Malthael's absence, it is Imperius who now rules over the Angiras Council, seeking always to defend the high heavens from any foe.
And who is the biggest jerk in all the high heavens? Archangel Ethereal, the aspect of fate.
Knowledge of the future grants power over the present. For this reason, Ethereal, the Archangel of Fate, is a vital member of the Council. He alone possesses the ability to decipher the threads of destiny woven in the celestial scroll of fate. His boundless sight grants him perspective others cannot fully comprehend.
You know, I just thought of something. The whole thing about the threads of destiny, the scroll of fate. I feel like Kingdoms of Amalur, Reckoning, may have kind of ripped that off to try and create their own lore. Because remember, that game dealt with that as well. And of course, Archangel Malthael, former aspect of wisdom.
Much uncertainty surrounds the Archangel Malthael. Once the calm guiding hand of wisdom, he was lost to us the moment the World Stone disappeared. Unable to fathom that catastrophic event, he abandoned heaven. His departure created a colossal fracture within the Council, one that, to this day, remains unrepaired.
And became the Angel of Death. And our good buddy Archangel Tyrael, the aspect of justice, although now he's taken up the aspect of wisdom in Malthael's place.
Tyrael, the Archangel of Justice, is a being of balance and integrity. His compassion for mankind has compromised his standing within the Angiras Council. He alone recognizes the Nephilim's capacity to transcend their divided heritage and become the true champions of creation.
If only he could get the other archangels to see the same thing. Asmodan, the Lord of Sin.
The Valrus manuscript lists Asmodan as the best battlefield commander of all demons, having defeated the angels many times in the eternal conflict across Pandemonium and the prime evils in the demonic civil war. If the Lord of Sin ever assaults our realm, we truly have much to fear.
We did, but then I stopped him. Baal, the Lord of Destruction.
Baal was the most brash and reckless of the prime evils. After the Dark Exile, he was contained within the Horodrim Tal Rasha and entombed. Centuries later, Diablo freed Baal, who then corrupted the World Stone to devastating effect for the barbarians who lived near Mount Arreat. The heroes killed Baal shortly afterward.
I mean, it does make me want to actually go play Diablo 2 to see this story take place. It's just a matter for me of trying to get it to fully work on my PC. So, Belial, the Lord of Lies.
Belial, Lord of Lies, is the most elusive of the 7 evils and is a master of deceit. It is said that he manipulated Asmodan into revolt against the prime evils. This began the Burning Hell's civil war, which ended with the dark exile of the prime evils to our mortal realm.
Which kind of led to, what happened in Diablo 1. Bloodstained Letter. It's amazing how much took place before even the first game came out.
My dearest Jonathan, I hope this letter finds you well, and that life at Bastion's Keep is not too difficult. Arthur is growing up to be just like his father. I'm happy to hear you'll be back in time for his birthday, and I'll be praying every night for your safe return.
Burial wishes.
If you are reading this, my husband and I are both gone. We would like to be buried side by side, preferably in a sunny spot. Oh, and please don't bury my husband's sword with us. He won't need it anymore.
Cain's old journal.
I can no longer deny the true nature of the evil that rises from the depths of the cathedral. It is almost too horrible to admit the truth of it. It is the Dark Lord of Terror, Diablo himself, who plagues us. The vile staff of Lazarus was brought to me today, confirming my suspicions. There is no longer any doubt that Lazarus kidnapped Albrecht, and perhaps even freed Diablo from his ancient prison. Who knows what further treachery he has planned.
Which leads to the story of Diablo 1. Let's see. Deckard Cain's Journal, Part 1.
We have come at last to Tristram's old cathedral. This is where Diablo, Lord of Terror, first corrupted mankind. This is where I may finally find the answers I seek. Leah worries after my safety, but I believe information vital to defeating the last lords of the burning hells can be found here.
And Part 2.
I wish that Leah could live a different life, a more normal life. But alas, such is not her fate. When I pass, there is none but her to continue my work, and the future of this world hangs in the balance.
Despina's Journal.
Praise the powers that be. Griswold, bless his dear heart, risked everything to bring that dear boy home from the cathedral. Though he is troubled and moody now, I am certain it will pass, and he will once again be the sweet Wirt we all love.
And now for the one whose name is the title of this series. Diablo, the Lord of Terror.
Diablo was the youngest of the prime evils, but I found him the most dangerous, for his power over terror left him incapable of feeling fear. Though he had easily possessed and corrupted many humans, Diablo's essence was finally trapped in a soul stone and banished to the unfathomable abyss 20 years ago.
Until, well, Leah. And here's the other one, Duriel, the Lord of Pain.
Duriel is the twin of Andariel. I believe that they conspired together to assist Diablo in releasing Mephisto and Baal, though they had both supported the lesser evils in the past. The Lord of Pain was found guarding Baal's prison, the tomb of Tal Rasha, when he was slain by heroes.
Okay, so that confirms it to me that Andariel and Duriel were bosses in Diablo 2. And we probably learned more about them in that game, as opposed to getting more about them in this game. Irena's Journal.
I felt no fear when they sealed the tomb before me, only a sense of peace as my mind drifted away into the darkness. It seems I opened my eyes only seconds later and beheld the chamber in ruins, half buried in sand. I have left everything behind. Only hope guides me now.
Gom's Log.
The human prisoners are panicking now. Oh, they must have noticed that fresh meat only comes after one of their number is dragged away. screaming. This will not hold. Slaughter the ones who starve themselves and feed them to their hungry friends. When those ones are fully stuffed, I will be ready to die.
Yuck. Well, he was the Lord of Gluttony. Gillian's diary.
Ogden and his wife have offered to let me and grandmother continue to stay with them. I think we will, now that the troubles are over. I am still tormented by horrific nightmares. I keep hoping they will fade, but they seem to be getting stronger. To think I was once afraid of Adria. She is going to take me to Chaldeum with her soon. Chaldeum. I never thought to see it with my own eyes. Though it saddens me to leave Ogden and his wife, Adria assures me that she will find a cure for my nightmares.
Oh, you fool. A hermit's ravings.
I used to be one of them, ordinary, untouched, until her voice came to me. Then I knew how I must serve. I must kill the one who threatens my mistress and the dark power that created her. I have been chosen.
The Iron Wolf Captain's Journal.
Another sunset, and Alcarnus is still safe from the sudden madness that plagues Chaldeum. Though we are seeing an influx of hooded pilgrims for some Zakarum holy day, the demons out there are keeping their distance. I will double the guard at the gate. We must not be unprepared if our luck turns.
Alright. Iswal's Descent.
The angel Iswal was once Tyrion's lieutenant, but he was captured by the enemy after an ill-advised assault upon the Hellforge. Iswal surrendered to demonic corruption and revealed the secrets of the Soul Stones to the prime evils. Tyrion claimed that Iswal was slain years ago, but his replacement has never emerged from the Crystal Arch.
Because he wasn't slain. Journal of Hansan Hale, Captain.
Day 9. Young Commander Calderos believes that the demonic scourge will flee before a bloody show of righteous force. He intends to lead a charge from our fortifications tomorrow. Calderos can commit suicide by stupidity if he wants, but I'll be damned if I send my lads with him.
Kala's poem.
When the desert sands silence their whispers in the night, and the thousand lights of the stars bleed into the darkness, I will find you in the void. My love will pour from me as words pour from my pen.
Kingsport Bill.
Wanted. One relic, scarlet, roughly the size of a man's fist. It was stolen 2 months past during a deplorable theft from the Merchants Guild Bank. Those apprehended were not in possession of the item. The relic is greatly missed by its rightful owner, who offers a reward for its safe return.
And Cool's Journal.
Finally, I have unlocked the secret of the Soul Stones once given to the Horadrim by Tyrael. An impressive creation, to be sure, but one that I am certain can be duplicated. No, not just duplicated, improved upon. My Soul Stone will be made to contain the souls of many demons, or even angels.
My gosh, Steve Bloom. The amount of different characters he has voiced. I mean, he's done Zoltan Kull, he's done Ogren, he's done Grunt, he's done the pirate from Star Wars The Old Republic, he's done Abathur. I mean, my gosh, the amount of characters he's done. This guy is such a talented voice actor.
I believe with this Soul Stone, I will finally be able to unlock the true power of man. In ancient times, our kind possessed power unmatched in this dreary age. With the Soul Stone, I will be able to elevate myself to the strength of my ancestors. The Black Soul Stone will be my greatest work, my legacy, and my gift to humanity. There will be wars to come between man and the creatures of heaven and hell. The power housed within my stone is the very thing needed to set mankind free from demons and angels forever. The wards have been triggered. It seems my brothers have finally come looking for me. Damn them. I am not ready. Too much of my power is invested in the stone's creation. I must finish it. The future of mankind depends on it.
Lochdanon's Scroll.
My name is Lochdanon, and I am cursed. Once the captain of King Leoric's army, I lived only to honor my land and my king. No man has a greater love for his king than I had for mine, even as I drove my blade through his dark and corrupted heart. He was Lazarus. Of that I am certain. He alone had the king's ear, and whispered dark and evil magics into it, instilling the notion of an imminent attack by Westmarch. Afraid to speak against the Archbishop, the councillors nodded their empty heads in agreement, and sent us off to die. When we returned from our horrific defeat in Westmarch, my beloved king lost all pretense of sanity. He seethed with rage, spitting curses upon us as traitors. With great sorrow, I ran him through. I will forever live in anguish for my last attempt to honor my king. As we lay him to rest in his burial chamber, he manifested as a hideous skeletal demon. Gorash and my other knights were overcome at once, but I fought on. And now I wander, cursed by my once beloved king. Evil gnaws at my bones, and I cannot risk putting my beloved Tristram in danger should I fail to contain that which tears at me. I must venture down into the labyrinth to die alone.
Wow. Leah's Chaldeum journal.
Chaldeum. Everything Uncle Deckard left me leads to this place. It's strange. I first met him here when I was only a child, and now his loss feels heavier than ever. He was right about everything all along. We have to stop Belial before it's too late. The city has many secrets, and I still remember most of them. I can get into Chaldeum through the sewers if I avoid the Imperial Guard. While I'm out, my friend has sworn to take down Magda. It won't bring Uncle Deckard back, but we'll all be relieved when she's gone. After all this time, my mother is alive. I couldn't be happier, and yet it's still hard to accept that she never sent word to me or Uncle Deckard.
No, it's not.
She said that she wanted to keep me safe, but I just wish I'd known.
Huh.
Well, at least I have her now.
Oh yeah, at least you have her now to betray you and turn you back into Diablo. Just saying.
My mother has been teaching me magic and how to control my power, but I feel like I'm constantly disappointing her. She says that I have a gift, but it doesn't feel that way. Maybe it will improve if I keep practicing. For now, we are getting closer to the Black Soul Stone, and that's what really matters. We have the Black Soul Stone at last, despite Zoltan Kull's betrayal. I always knew he couldn't be trusted. Fortunately, we were able to defeat him and retrieve the stone. I learned that my mother had secretly bound the fallen lords of hell to it. I just wonder why she didn't tell me.
Because that would have ruined Diablo's plan. Duh.
We reached Bastion's Keep, but holding the Black Soul Stone together takes up all of my time now. Sometimes I think of the wounded soldiers and their families outside, but then my concentration fails and the spells weaken. I must stay focused and trust my friend to save the keep and its people. The days are hard. If it weren't for my mother standing beside me, I don't know what I'd do. She even watches the stone for a few hours each night so I can rest. Sometimes I dream I'm in New Tristram with Uncle Deckard again, and it's hard to wake up after that. Adria tells me that our friend has beaten back Azmodan's armies, and the keep is safe now. I almost can't believe it. The essences within the Soul Stone grow angrier, fiercer. They are fighting against me every moment now, and their darkness creeps around the edges of my mind. I must remain strong. I thought I was going to die when I saw the demon's rage escape from the Soul Stone. Tyrillin, my friend, fought them, but I couldn't help. It was like I was watching them through a haze. What is the Soul Stone doing to me? Azmodan must die soon. Then I will be myself again.
Yeah, myself, as in that all of a sudden became Diablo, talking like, oh, finally I'll be able to be myself again, the Lord of Terror. as the primeval once Asmodan dies. Ah, foolish, foolish girl.
We've been under siege for 6 days now. Uncle Deckard is still missing. Captain Rumford and the others are losing hope. I tell them not to lose faith, but if help doesn't arrive soon...
Little out of order, I know. First the Chaldean journal, then the Keep journal in Act 3, and then back to Tristram in Act 1, but anyway.
A miracle has happened. A hero, like one out of Uncle Deckard's tales, appeared and saved us. I know in my heart that my uncle still lives, and I pray that the hero will bring him home safely. Uncle Deckard is home, rescued from the clutches of the Skeleton King. I'm so glad. But the Skeleton King, I thought he was a folktale. The idea of Mad King Leoric returning to torture this place. Hasn't Tristram suffered enough?
Thought he was a folktale. Oh my gosh.
I can hardly believe it, but the falling star is a man. When Uncle Deckard realized this, he was crushed. I know he was hoping for something more miraculous.
Well, he did. We just didn't know it at the time.
Uncle Deckard believes the key to unlocking the stranger's memory is reassembling his sword. I wish I could say this was another of Uncle's crazy theories, but I can't deny that these ominous events are starting to really scare me. Uncle Deckard is gone forever.
I just realized I don't have part 6.
Remember the
I'm
wonderful
sorry, guys.
times we had together. Always off on another crazy quest. What will I do without him? He believed the stranger was an angel, but he is only a man. I always knew they were just stories. Uncle Deckard died for those stories.
Sorry they don't have part 6. I didn't realize they don't have part 6, but... even after all this, she then still goes, he's only a man. I always knew that they were just stories. And then up here, then she's like, oh, yeah. He was right about everything all along. And I'm like, wow, really? Talk about a flip. I'm sorry, you guys heard me rant about... I'm not going to rant about Leah's character in this video. You heard me about it in the credits at the end of the campaign. I'm not going to do that here. Leoric's journal, the journal of the Skeleton King himself.
We have just arrived in Tristram, and I must say, I'm a bit dismayed. This place is a backwater filled with serfs and an ancient broken-down monastery, hardly fit for the King of Condorus. I cannot fathom why Lazarus was so intent on this becoming our new seat of power.
Because of what lied beneath. Or what laid beneath. Lied beneath. What am I talking? I can't talk tonight. Because of what laid beneath in the cathedral.
A fetid, pallid malaise has fallen over the manor we now call home. Young Albrecht seems to be enjoying himself in our new home, however. Perhaps I am simply suffering from an imbalance of humors brought on by the recent change of clime. I am convinced that some malevolent being is attempting to wrest control of my thoughts away from me. Voices direct me to horrendous acts, and there are times when I seem unable to control my body. Lazarus knows. This is certain. He looks at me strangely when he thinks me otherwise disposed. Though my counsel begs me to reconsider, I will continue with the executions of those I find guilty of plotting against the kingdom. Perhaps they fear my eye will fall on them and discover their heinous, treasonous plans as well. Lazarus is the only one I can still trust.
Oh, you fool.
I have finally rid myself of the dark influence seeking to subdue me. And now I see things as they truly are. This conspiracy among the insolent townsfolk to weaken me by stealing Albrecht away will not stand. Perhaps the heads of their women and children on pikes will bring them clarity.
And that's when he clearly had fallen to madness. Caused, of course, by Diablo controlling, Lazarus. Lord Curtis's journal.
I curse you, Saul! You sold me this piece of waterlogged land to build my castle on! Well, I will have the last laugh, you dog! I will build my castle here, and it will be the grandest castle ever! Do you hear me, Saul? Ever!
Ever! Just like Jericho! Ever! Be the same again! A lost journal.
I had heard the rumors, but I thought them just fancies of bored women. Until I saw them dragging people through the streets today. Our own citizens! Has the world gone mad?
No, just Leoric. Magda, leader of the Coven.
When I joined the Coven, it was weak and idle. The leaders were content to do nothing, while the prime evils were imprisoned. I convinced another witch to help me poison them, and together we took control. She left some years later, but I continued, bringing the coven to glory under Lord Belial.
Well, because she was more focused on Diablo than Belial. Melena's memory.
We trained, believing that we would fight together. But Irena was the one who was chosen. And we were the ones who must sacrifice to support her. Why her and not me? A selfish question, for I know that if she was asked, she would say yes. So I did.
Ah, Mephisto, the Lord of Hatred.
The evil of Mephisto, Lord of Hatred, was so pervasive that even after he had been defeated and entombed in a soul stone, his demonic essence oozed upwards into Travancore and corrupted the Zakharum priests. Though he fell to the same heroes who killed his brothers, I fear for us, should he ever return.
It's still a little unclear to me whether or not it's like they are gone forever, like, you know, that Diablo is going to have those guys, those evils, as part of him forever, or if the 7 of them could separate someday. It's a little unclear to me, but I think that's part of the Blizzard's idea, is to keep it a mystery, to keep it uncertain, keep us speculating and theorizing. Mira's letter to Hadrig.
My dearest Hadrig, do not feel despair, my love. You did everything you could. Our time together meant more than words can say. But in the end, fate is a cruel mistress. Your strength is needed to end the horrors that beset this world. My final wish is that you find your path. Love always. Mira.
Aww. So here's Morgan's journal, part 1. I know there's a part 2 and a part 3, but when I was in the preparation of making these videos, I didn't think finding part 2 and 3 were worth it, or having to go through that particular area in Act 3 over and over and over just to find it. Because I went through it once, I didn't find the satchel with the diary, I went, forget it, it's not really that important.
Transferring to Bastion's Keep is as dull as I imagined. The soldiers spend most of their time gambling. I guess this is what I should expect from this hollowed-out rock, a shadow of its former glory. Still, I am here to provide for Anna. I hope she's well.
See? Not important. Notes of Uruk the Seer, Part 1.
Long I have labored to master the dark arts. Now I finally reap the rewards. For Magda has acknowledged me. She promised me a special task that will bring endless glory to the Great One. I can hardly rest until she reveals it on the morrow.
Part 2.
Goatman. All of my labors were for a bunch of rotten, stinking goatmen. Magda claims that they will become our most valuable allies, and that the task is one that she can entrust to no one but me. But I know my place. I am most bruisingly humbled.
I think there's a part 3, but I didn't really think it was, important. An old diary.
There's chaos everywhere, and word in town is that Lacdanan killed the king. If only this is true, perhaps our days and nights of living in terror are behind us now.
A priest contemplations.
One of the men retrieved a strange artifact in his nets. It looked like a hilt of an ancient blade. But I know it must be more. The fisherman argued with me, but I convinced him to leave it in the safety of the chapel, a holy place, or a holy relic. When the church of the Zakharum sent me here, I assumed that my village would be simple and untroubled. To be honest, I was relieved. Corruption has struck down many a greater man than I, and such a quiet place would have been my salvation. But everything changed when disaster struck the Tristram Cathedral.
Queen Asila's journal.
Starved of the sun. I no longer know what day it is. I can hear the warden, my husband, and that dog Lazarus discussing my fate. My life will be over soon, yet I fear more for my poor Albrecht's future in the wake of his father's madness. If only Aiden were here.
Oh yeah, if only he was here. To give Diablo another way to keep on living. Because if he hadn't jammed that soul stone in his head, he wouldn't have become the Dark Wanderer. He wouldn't have slept with Adria and produced Leah, which, you know, then he wouldn't have come back as Diablo, and then he wouldn't have come back as Diablo again. I'm just saying. Race's memory.
The prophet asked each of us in turn, before he cast the spell of binding, our lives for hers. If we declined, we could leave without any thought of shame. We each heard the question, and answered the only way we could. Our cause was too important to not make that sacrifice.
Alright, Scabbard of Talik the Defender.
This scabbard is a rare treasure. Its inscription reads Talik the Defender in archaic lettering. He was one of the ancients who guarded Mount Ariat until the shattering of the World Stone. A true warrior who gave his life to spare the world from the dark fate it has fallen to now.
Sybil's memory.
The prophet said I would not dream, but I did. At first, they were dreams of color, unsettling. And then I began to hear voices. They called for me, over and over. And then I woke.
The Angiris Council.
The Angiris Council is comprised of the 5 archangels who hold dominion over the high heavens. They determine the laws by which all angels must abide. Each of them embodies a pure aspect of creation: valor, justice, hope, fate, and wisdom.
I'm a little puzzled by that. About, like, really? Fate is an aspect of creation? I guess so. And valor, yeah. I'm not really sure Imperius embodies valor, but anyway. Ah, yes, the history of the Crusaders. How fitting, considering that's the character I did my playthrough of.
In the eastern kingdom of Khezistan, I heard rumors of Zakarum warriors called Crusaders. While the natives were most reticent, I was able to deduce that this order was founded 200 years ago, just as Rakis took his army of paladins west. But these Crusaders went east on a very different mission. My studies indicate that a high-level cleric of the Zakarum named Akan began to sense the corruption that was eating away at the heart of his faith. He knew this corruption would eventually destroy his beloved church, and that he must take action. After much prayer, Akan hit upon the idea of an order of Crusaders. Akan gathered the most devout, driven, and martial Zakarum adherents. He taught them to channel the power of light in the same way that the newly founded paladins were being trained. But these recruits, these Crusaders, were given insight into the primal powers of Zakarum in a way no paladin ever was. When the Crusaders had learned all they could, Akan sent them out into the world, seeking a way to cleanse the corruption that coiled at the heart of the Zakarum faith. There was no clear goal for them to pursue, and some clerics claimed it was a fool's errand, that they could never succeed. But these Crusaders would not be deterred. The Crusaders swore an oath to dedicate their lives to the search. None believed that they would be the one to end the crusade by finding and cleansing the corruption. They believed the search ennobled them, that the discipline of their life and journey was the true goal. The Crusader was meant to find meaning in the quest itself. Each and every Crusader was a warrior of rare strength. They had mastered the power of light, of weapon and shield, and of self. Each was sworn to live as a Crusader and to die as one. 200 years ago, they took their apprentices and set out into the eastern swamplands. They were never heard from again. Until now. Rumors swirl that the Crusaders have returned, and that they mean to go to the west. But who are these tall, blonde warriors? They look nothing like the Crusaders who set out from Travincal 200 years ago. And those who inhabit the ruins of that ancient city suspect trickery. I recently met a returning Crusader, and now I understand. Each Crusader took an apprentice. When a Crusader fell, his apprentice would take up his armor, his place in the order, and even his very name. When the first generation of Crusaders fell, their own apprentices took up their identities. And so it has continued for for 200 years. Of the original 427 Crusaders who disappeared into the East, 341 return. Do they still seek the redemption of their faith?
Yes.
How will they react to the destruction of the city that birthed their crusade? Will they continue west to the lands of Westmarch?
Yes.
What does their return portend?
To continue the redemption of the faith, which is pretty much what my character kept hammering throughout the campaign. So, you know, it's really nice that you get this huge background on the Crusaders, who are essentially the paladins from Diablo 2, which made me think, they brought back the Crusader, or essentially the paladin, from Diablo 2, and made the Crusader for this game. And I'm sure some people are like, well, what about some of the other classes from 2? Could you bring it back for this game? I've heard some people say they want the Necromancer brought back. I mean, the Witch Doctor is kind of like that. I mean, the amount of guys he can summon, I mean, the Witch Doctor is essentially the Necromancer of the game. So, I don't know. Perhaps the Assassin, but then again, the Demon Hunter is kind of like that. So, anyway, the Grand Maester's Proclamation.
The day of reckoning is at hand. We will rise from the ashes of Westmarch and lead mankind into the light. We shall have recruits by the thousands. Every citizen will be another Templar added to the cause. Once cleansed by the Inquisitors, they will become an unstoppable force.
Huh. The Imperial Guard's orders.
The enemy has destroyed Alcarnus and most of the cultists. The Master commands us to capture more slaves immediately. Go to the oasis and abduct the villagers. Kill any who resist. That way we shall both gain allies and destroy enemies.
The King's Journal.
I am so weary. Why did you have to die, brother? I was never meant to be king. The nobles threaten revolt to bend me to their will. They will abandon me if I don't keep the peasants in their place. Oh, my position is hopeless.
I have come to realize that my personal feelings are of no consequence. My people are dying, and they need their king. Our resistance starts today, and Lord Winton, of all people, has provided the means. These reapers shall not have Westmarch. I swear my life on it.
Poor King. The King's note to Lord Winton.
Lord Winton, we are thrilled that you have located a surviving regiment of soldiers. With this new force, we can turn the tide and save our city. Your disagreements with the Crown are well known, but we are glad you can put them aside in this dangerous time. Long live Westmarch!
Which, of course, led to Winton betraying and murdering the king so that he could become the new king, which we then stopped, foiled his plan by killing him in turn. The last of the ancients.
When I look upon our weakened offspring, I'm filled with rage. Killing them is a mercy, but one I have been unable to extend to myself. I must seek another to do what I cannot, before the endless days drive me to madness.
Here we go. The Legend of Zai, the Trickster.
The people of Shansai worship 59 gods, but few are more revered than Zai, the exiled trickster god who travels the face of the world disguised as a humble merchant. Tales of his adventures range from ingenious thefts and practical jokes to more lurid exploits, none of which I'm comfortable recording here.
I cannot wait to see how, because I'm telling you, Covetous Shen, he's Zai. He is definitely Zai. I cannot wait to see how Blizzard continues the story for Covetous Shen in the next expansion, or even in the next game. I mean, guys like Jesse Cox are convinced there is going to be another expansion for Diablo 3, saying that Blizzard has actually talked about another expansion for Diablo 3. And, I mean, the way they ended those stories for the characters in Reaper of Souls, it's pretty clear to me that there is going to be another expansion for this game, and I cannot wait to find out how those stories continue and possibly even conclude in the next expansion for this game. The Lost Warrior.
Something now inhabits the fortress. I am certain of it. Long have I gazed upon its scarred facade, dreaming of the safe haven its walls offer. But it has changed. The vacant terraces have turned cold. I am so desperate to escape the demons. But whatever is in the fortress may be worse.
The ravings of a deranged mind.
I can hear them. The voices speak to me again. What?
Death is coming.
What?
But I can't die. I can't.
Malvale
I'm too
is coming?
important to have my life just thrown away. Please, tell me how I can avoid my fate. You want me to do what? Must I? Oh, yes. Yes, I will. I swear it. I will do anything.
I'm too important to have my life just thrown away. Who are you that makes you think that? The Seven Lords of Hell.
It is with some reluctance that I write on the Seven Lords of Hell, for they are the greatest of the demons, and even whispering their names seems to poison the air around me. They are divided into the lesser evils, Belial, Asmodan, Juriel, and Andariel, and the prime evils, Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo.
The Skeleton King.
The Zakarum high priests in Kurast proclaimed Leoric king of Kondurus many years ago. He ruled well until Diablo's influence drove him mad, and the loyal knight Lac-Danan was forced to slay him. Afterward, Diablo himself raised Leoric from the dead as the Skeleton King, until the monarch's son, Aiden, vanquished him.
It's true that's a retcon, but I guess it works. The Testament of Inarius.
They call me a hero. I slew demons beyond count. I won battles and broke sieges, but it availed me nothing. I know that this war can have no victor, only an eternity of revenge, pride, and hatred. Tyrael does not understand. He cannot see beyond the glory of battle. In time he may, but that day is not yet here.
But that day did come, though.
There must be others who seek a way out of the endless strife. Angels and demons who feel enslaved by our fate. I cannot be unique in all of creation. I know my path. I will find those disillusioned of the war and lead them.
I like how he was going, look, I can't be the only one who's tired of endlessly fighting over and over and over with no end in sight. I mean, this eternal conflict is just getting a little tiring. You know, this whole, we fight, and we get nowhere. I like how he was thinking that, like, I can't be the only one who's tired of this.
I was struck down in the third charge. I lay upon the ground, only to wake in chains. I did not know that demons took prisoners. I babbled like a fool about my dreams of escaping this war. My captor freed me and said that we would meet again. Her name was Lilith, daughter of Mephisto.
And now he's back in chains. Once again, as a prisoner in hell.
Lilith is me, but of fire and flame. I could never have felt this way about a demon while I was mired in the endless war. The strain holds us prisoner to what we've been told to believe. She and I have made plans. We will bring others to our cause, and together we will escape. Those who follow us are strong in purpose and conviction, but we are only few. Yet if we can obtain the power of the World Stone, it will be enough. We will scale the Windshear Slope, steal into the heart of the fortress, and be gone before anyone notices the stone's disappearance. Can I truly love a demon? When I gave the World Stone to Lilith, I knew I'd been right to seek her all along. We have created a new world. We can live here in peace, away from war. I have named this world Sanctuary. When I see Lilith sleeping at my side, I'm filled with dark thoughts. My sins are real, and I will surely pay for them. We live in peace for now, but it cannot last. They will come for me. But what of my great deeds? When I'm in torment, who will celebrate those? Who will remember Inarius?
In some way, I kind of feel bad for Inarius. And in some way, I'm kind of hoping that maybe either in the next expansion or the next game, either the heroes can, maybe Tyrael will come to us, the Nephilim, and say, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go into hell and free my old friend Inarius and bring him here to Sanctuary and just kind of, help him because, well, he's my brother, I'm sure Tyrael probably wants us to do that at some point. I just don't know if or when that's going to happen, but, I mean, the guy is, You know, all he just wanted to do was just get away from the war. I mean, yeah, he didn't like what Lilith did, but, I mean, it partly depends for me on whether or not Lilith had good intentions or not, but when you think about it, it's like, you know, was the guy really that bad? You know, yeah, he ended up being somewhat of a bad guy in the end, but was he really a villain in the end? I just have a feeling that at some point Tyrael may say to the Nephilim, look, can you help me out? I need you to go into hell and get my old buddy Inarius out of there. Because the poor guy is being tortured for who knows how long. Alright, so the Testament of Rakis.
I have uncovered and obscured an ancient tome in whose pages is recorded an impossible tale. The secret history of a race called the Nephilim, gods by another name, and their ruined civilization in the West. If this is true, how could all signs of these Nephilim be lost, but for the record of this single tome? The Nephilim were not gods, but our own ancestors, gifted with long life, magic, and abilities far beyond ours. Yet they were still men. I wonder if these pages hold the key to unlock their powers once again. I will bring the light of Zakarum to the heathens. Here in the east, the power of Zakarum wanes, but in the west it will rise, stronger and greater than ever. Yet I have another purpose. The lost Nephilim city of Corvus lies in the west. I will find it. We founded a settlement near the Western Sea. It will grow to be a great city in time. Now that my people are settled, I can begin my own search for the ruins of the Nephilim city, Corvus. The tome implied that it was near this very region. We have begun searching the marsh for the ruins of Corvus. This stinking, festering swamp is punctuated by worn blocks of stone. Perhaps these ancient sentinels are all that remain of the proud Nephilim city. No, there is more to be found. I know it. Last night, I found the ruined Nephilim city. When I stepped into the buried catacombs, I felt a stirring in my blood. And then a wondrous thing. A dim light began to glow all around me, not cast by any torch. It was as though the very stones acknowledged my presence. The Nephilim had such a strong connection to the light that it granted them powers far beyond our own. But I believe that through the light they can be reborn in us. Thus I have consecrated Westmarch, a shining beacon in the west. I have taken for my sigil the Wolf of Corvus and proclaimed myself king. A decade later, the power of the Nephilim still escapes me. Something long ago stole it from them and keeps it hidden, even today. I have found mention of an artifact called the Worldstone, hidden in the barbarian lands. Now that my son is born, I have rallied my banners to ride to war against them.
Which, well, in this next part.
Years on, the barbarians remain unconquered, and I am a man grown old and frail. My life has seen the founding of Westmarch and the discovery of the Nephilim ruins. But still, the deeper secrets elude me. I leave the task to my son, in whose blood shall carry forth the line of Nephilim kings.
Which he handled in terms of the barbarian rebellion against Baal at Ariat. And now the writings of Lilith.
My father is content to fight the same battles and the same foes while everything turns to ashes. Though his victories might last a day, or a year, or 100 years, the war will never be won so long as he and his brothers lead. There is an end to it, but fools like my father are too blind to see it. I took a prisoner in the battle, an angel whose light was dimming. I brought him to my lair for my amusement, but he surprised me. My touch seemed to breathe life into him. He raved like a madman about how he wished to escape the war. Perhaps I have found someone I can use. The angel I captured, Inarius, is in love with me. I can feel the intensity of his desire. I told him that we must liberate the Worldstone, and then we can be together. We will create something never imagined by those mired in the eternal conflict. A new world.
Inarius and I stole the World Stone, and now we have a group of renegades to follow us. I have created a new world where we can live in peace. A place of infinite possibilities. Inarius believes that escape is enough. In time, I will show him that even victory is possible. But first, I will give him children.
See, it's a little clouded to me on Lilith's character. I mean, at first you're like, oh, perhaps she only used him and there was never actually any love from her towards Inarius. I mean, she never necessarily implied as much in these writings. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, and what was her real stance about the war? You know, did she actually want to be the victor in the war and not her father and her uncles? It's kind of unclear to me on Lilith's character, really. Alright, Urzael's journal.
After years of my pleading, the Angiris Council has finally agreed to send me in search of Malthael. I will not fail in this, as my master's presence is sorely needed in the high heavens. Owing to Malthael's growing fascination with the humans, Tyrael has suggested I begin my search on Sanctuary.
Well, that would be kind of the obvious choice, unless Malthael was chilling in hell, which I doubt. He would have been able to just stride in there and be like, you guys mind if I crash here for a bit?
I did not find Malthael on Sanctuary, but I did find humans. Far too many of them. They murder and cheat one another while allowing their brothers to starve. If their true power is ever released, we are all doomed. They have a choice between good and evil, and they overwhelmingly choose evil.
I wouldn't say overwhelmingly. Some people do, but some people overwhelmingly choose good. He just probably only saw those who chose evil most of the time. And I guess when he says, if their true powers are released, I guess he's saying, like, if they can ever return to their full power as Nephilim, like they used to be able to before Inarius affected that, well, then, yeah. So...
I grew disgusted by humanity during my time on Sanctuary. When at last I found Malthael, I was not surprised to learn that he felt the same way. We will cleanse creation of the scourge that is humankind, and when we are finished, the tragic mistake of Inarius will be gone.
And last but not least, Zoltan Kuhl.
Murderer, torturer, monster. These were the titles bestowed upon Zoltan Kuhl by the Horadrim. Though it cost them dearly, they killed the wizard for his crimes against nature and sealed his broken corpse within a shadow realm. It seems they were afraid he might return.
And that does it for the People lore books. Obviously a ton of lore, and I haven't even gotten... some of the other ones are in, like, random dungeons and such. But, yeah, that... if you weren't familiar with all the lore, you may be now. So, that's pretty much a general overlook of the lore. And that's pretty much going to do it. Don't know when we're ever going to return to this game. Unless maybe they eventually do the next expansion, which, who knows? I mean, hopefully in the next BlizzCon, maybe we'll get a hint or an announcement regarding that. But until then, this will be it for the time being, for our adventures in Sanctuary. And I will see you guys next time.